This is my review on Venom. So the movie opens up with a spaceship crashing and a bunch of guys collecting symbiotes. One escapes and has possessed a police officer, and the title Venom comes up, and we meet our main character Eddie Brock in bed with his girlfriend, and he's about to get ready for his job, which is called the Eddie Brock Show. I'm scratching myself. Oh. This is body wash. Crayola. I had it upside down. And he talks to his boss, has a job for it. He says he's only supposed to answer talk about his space shuttle and stuff. But Eddie says that the guy is a criminal, there's no proof there's no signs of him being a criminal, doing criminal activity. Eddie just believes that in this movie he's a criminal out of nowhere, I guess, because the script says so. Okay. Tom Hyde does a really good performance in this movie. It's actually his really good performance, both as Eddie Brock and as Venom. The color grading's good also in this movie. Looks natural and beautiful. And CGI looks just very good in this movie. Very decent. Very cool, especially when it comes to Venom. I have to plug my battery in because it's going to die. And so Eddie steals some information from his girlfriend's computer and uses that as evidence to ask the guy that he's supposed to interview and as questions. Eddie gets fired from his job and gets escorted out of the building because he did something he wasn't supposed to do, which was tried to do by seeing in his eyes, but it was incredibly stupid. So he loses his girlfriend and his job, and I don't know, cut to how many years later, or 5 years, I think, or something like that. 5 months, 5 years, something. Yeah, he's trying to get a job by calling people and searching in the newspapers, but he can't find a job. And we made also, so yeah, he's so Eddie lost pretty much everything. There's being tense on the symbiotes, trying to bond with other humans, but the people keep on dying. And this girl asks Eddie for help. At first he says no, but after seeing his girlfriend is with another guy, he changes his mind. So him and go in the building, and Eddie is told not to touch anything, or she takes care of the guy. Eddie takes pictures of the corpses and sees that one's alive and freaking out. A human's alive and freaking out and bonded to the symbiote, and he lets her out by breaking the glass, and it's the symbiote bonds with him, and Eddie decides that to get out of there after God comes and in the room, and Eddie beats his way out of there. By beats, I mean he fights his way out of there, and he goes home. And remember what's next. He goes home and starts drinking starts drinking water and stuff, and eating and being hungry and eating raw meat, and he starts hearing Venom's voice. And Venom kind of pops out of Eddie's face in the mirror and scares Eddie. He goes to a girlfriend to show her the photo because he's the only one he can trust, and Eddie ends up making a scene because of the symbiote that's in him. And he gets very hot and ends up getting angry and ends up wanting to eat things that are alive and stuff. He acts more like, well, Venom than a Brock, and you can, and it's kind of funny actually, and a little strange. So he goes to the hospital, and her boyfriend sends him to the hospital and puts him in an MRI, and then takes him out of the MRI because he starts freaking out. And after looking at the X-rays, her boyfriend finds out that Eddie has a parasite, and he calls Andy, call Eddie up and tell him that. And Eddie's hearing Venom's voice, and after he finished talking to them, Venom tells him to don't open the door, and he says what? The door knocks and Eddie opens the door, and then a bunch of action happens, and Eddie says, "What the heck is that?" Not who, what. I mean, Venom said the other way around. Not what, who. And he jumps off the window and goes down to this next floor in the building, and Venom shields them them and the kids and Eddie from bullets, and Eddie hops aboard the bicycle after getting a quick look at what Venom looks like, and says, "You're just a parasite," and Venom's like, "Parasite." And Venom's pissed and says, "Okay, can we talk about this some other time? How about we talk about this some other time? Because right now there are other people coming at us trying to kill us." So the hop aboard Eddie's bike, and Venom does these really cool action scenes with the symbiote flexing and taking out the vehicles and making the other bad guys kill each other and stuff. And the explosion happens, and after a guy breaks his leg and shoots him off of the bike and he breaks his leg, Eddie grabs the guy by his neck, and Venom shows his true form, and it looks awesome. It looks just like it does in the comics, just like in the Ultimate Comics, because Venom doesn't have the white spider. And Venom attempts to eat his head, and then he decides to throw the other guy, because the other guy, another guy starts shooting, so he eats his head, and he escapes from the police, and Eddie's leg is fixed, and Venom and Eddie have a little chat together, and says, "I am Venom." and says that you are a loser, Eddie. and he says he knows all of this because he's inside of his head. He knows all about him, because he's inside of his head. So, Eddie asks if he's going to eat someone's head again, and he says, "Yes, yes, I am." He finds us has the point, and he says, "If you will cooperate." So, Eddie takes the photos to his old boss, and he gets up to his boss's floor. He's not in the building right now, but he gets up with the help of Venom, going up the building, running up the building and smashing, and he goes up all the way to the top of the building for some reason and says, and Venom says, it's a beautiful city. It's not that ugly. I hate to see it go. It's sad to see that. I almost feel sad that it goes for it to go away. And he says, what do you mean by that? And then that's gonna be saved for later. So, yeah, after he dumps the breaks into his guy's his old boss's office, and he leaves him a note. There are SWAT teams waiting inside the building as when Eddie goes down in the building, and Eddie tells them to come out when the SWAT team says to put their mask on, and Eddie says mask on, and he says, and Val says okay, and they all get one by one. It looks like a classic monster movie. They all like get eaten by the shark, the big shark, and it's really cool. And Venom's was going to eat a SWAT member, but his ex-girlfriend sees him, and Eddie shows his girlfriend this is him, and they're on their way to the hospital because Eddie is dying, and Venom's killing out Eddie, and Venom says to Eddie, "Don't listen to the doctor. I can fix you." Venom's has been pretty helpful so far. I would kind of listen to him. On the way to the hospital, Eddie is told by Venom all of his weaknesses and what bothers Venom. What's all of his weaknesses: sound and fire. And he tells his girlfriend, and his girlfriend because her boyfriend's about to get killed by Venom, and his girlfriend puts on the sound thing that makes Venom come on bonds with Eddie, and Eddie is now in this separate room with Venom is, and Eddie decides to just leave Venom, and he gets kidnapped by the bad guys, and Venom bonds with his dog, and then he bonds with his girlfriend, and Eddie gets interrogated by the bad guys and finds out that the main bad guy has a symbiote up his butt, and the bad guys bring Eddie out in the woods and going to shoot him down. Venom saves Eddie and kisses him. and Bonds is back with Eddie, and so now Venom tells him what was going to originally happen is that they were just going hop aboard the rocket and eat the entire human race, and after bonding with some people, and says that was the original plan and that's what was going to happen. And Eddie wanted to know what changed his mind, and Venom turns into Venom, and Venom says, "You did, Eddie." And he tells him on his planet he's a loser like him. Venom is. So Venom takes on this big symbiote, and which is his leader, and action is awesome. I love this movie. And they must go back and forth fighting each other. And Venom actually, and then they unbond with the symbiote, and then they both bond back with the symbiote again, and then Venom actually takes the little symbiote spear that was in Eddie, and got stabbed by Eddie, and after Venom bonds back with him, Venom takes away the spear out of Eddie's chest, and tells his superior have a nice flight, and he slides the spear down until the rocket blows up with both bad guys in it, the symbiote and the human bad guy that Eddie interviewed earlier in the movie, and so it looks like Venom is destroyed, and Eddie's drowning to his death, and we see him next day talking to his girl, and talking to his ex-girlfriend, and says that his old boss wanted him to put the A.E. Bark show back on, but he turns down the offer because he got he didn't want to. Plus, he got an interview for Lifetime, so which we don't know because he's going after. It's going to be read about in the papers, and so. So Venom actually comments and says, "Look at her. She has no idea that we're still bonded together." And he's like it says, it's like, again, that look like it's like almost Eddie almost slips off and says, and she says, "Is this something you want to tell me, Eddie?" And he says, "No, nothing." This got unplugged. This is the charger. Now plugged it back in. And Eddie decides to lay down some ground rules with Venom and says, I really don't mind you staying with me, but we just can't go around eating people. If you're only going to have to eat only eat bad people, because there are lots of good people in this world, a real good chunk. And Venom says, how do how do you know? How do we know when it's a bad guy? You can sense these things, kind of fine. But can we get some to eat now? I'm really hungry, and Venom says he wants chocolate and goes into this little store, and this girl that's also a friend of Eddie, that's called Mrs. Chang, is about to be robbed, and Venom says, bad guy. And Eddie says, yeah. So they turn into Venom, and he says, if you ever do this again, we will eat both your arms, then we will eat both of your legs, then you eat your head. For now on, you're going to be as honest as a frigless turd rolling down the street somewhere, and he says, on second thought, he's got a bit parasite. So good night, Mrs. Chen, and sounds like insulted, but when he called Venom a parasite, he says, Eddie, apologize. And he says, fine. Sorry. And Eddie and Venom get interview with Woody Allen, who will be Carnage in the sequel. And they both talk together it's kind of hinty at him, but in the most goofiest way, and says, when I get out here, there will be carnage. And after when the end credits end, we get to hear a rap song by Eminem do a song for the Venom movie, and it kicks